Imagine New York City, the city that never sleeps. Every day, millions of people cross Times Square, gaze up at the Empire State Building, and stroll through Central Park. The aroma of street food drifts from food trucks. Yellow taxis honk in endless traffic, and the city pulses with energy, day and night. But now, picture this. One ordinary morning, every single person vanishes. No warning, no explanation, just silence. Subway trains stop mid-tunnel. Wall Street screens flicker to empty offices, and the only sound is the wind whistling between the skyscrapers. What happens next? How long will the monuments of New York stand without us? Will nature reclaim the city, or will our creations endure? Today, let's embark on a journey through time to witness the fate of New York in a world without people. In the first few hours, New York seems frozen in time. Subways sit idle beneath the city. Buses are abandoned at their stops. And the last echoes of human voices fade away. Automatic systems continue for a while. Traffic lights change, billboards flash, and elevators wait for passengers who will never arrive. But without human oversight, these systems begin to fail. Within a day, power plants start to shut down. Some neighborhoods lose electricity, plunging into darkness. Elevators are stuck between floors, and the subway grinds to a halt deep underground. Water still flows from taps, but with no one to fix leaks, pipes burst, and basements begin to flood. The city's intricate sewage system, once maintained by teams of engineers, starts to clog. As night falls, New York is darker and quieter than it has been in centuries. The only movement comes from the animals. Raccoons, which already roam the city's parks at night, venture further into the open. Birds, sensing the absence of people, begin to nest in new places. By the end of the first week, the city is no longer just empty. It's beginning to change. A year passes. Without street cleaners, trash accumulates, but soon wind and rain scatter it, and plants begin to sprout through cracks in the pavement. Lawns in Central Park and Bryant Park grow wild, and seeds carried by the wind take root in gutters, rooftops, and even the stonework of old buildings. Trees, once carefully pruned, now grow unchecked. Their roots push up sidewalks and invade the foundations of houses and skyscrapers. The Hudson and East Rivers, no longer managed by floodgates and pumps, overflow during heavy rains. Low-lying neighborhoods like Lower Manhattan and parts of Brooklyn are the first to flood. The subway, built below the water table, fills with water as pumps fail. Tunnels become underground rivers, and stations are submerged. Animals become bolder. Coyotes from the suburbs wander into the city, rooting through parks and gardens. Deer graze on the Great Lawn. Birds of prey nest atop the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building. While pigeons and crows take over abandoned attics and rooftops. Already, the city is beginning to look less like a metropolis and more like a wild, overgrown ruin. 10 years without people, and the transformation is dramatic. Roofs, especially those made of wood and tar, begin to collapse under the weight of rain and snow. Water seeps into walls, causing plaster to crumble and paint to peel. The Statue of Liberty, once a beacon of hope, is now streaked with green and brown. Corrosion eats away at her copper skin, though the structure still stands tall for now. The Empire State Building, no longer maintained, begins to rust. Windows shatter in storms, and trees take root in the cracks of its stone base. The Brooklyn Bridge, battered by decades of storms, has partially collapsed. Ivy and wildflowers cover its remains, while the East River teems with fish and birds, undisturbed by boats or traffic. The city's infrastructure is failing. Bridges over the rivers begin to weaken as their supports are undermined by water and plant roots. Animals now rule the city. Packs of wild dogs and feral cats form new social groups. Coyotes and even black bears, having migrated from upstate, hunt in the empty streets. The sounds of New York are now the calls of birds, the rustle of animals in the undergrowth, and the distant crash of collapsing buildings. Half a century has passed. New York is almost unrecognizable. Most modern buildings have collapsed. Wooden beams have rotted, metal has rusted, and glass has shattered. The Statue of Liberty, weakened by decades of unchecked corrosion, finally succumbs. Her torch falls, and the once mighty symbol of freedom crashes to the ground, quickly hidden by encroaching vegetation. Stone structures fare better. The skeletons of Grand Central Terminal, St. Patrick's Cathedral, and a few other monuments still stand, though they are covered in moss, lichen, and climbing plants. The rivers have changed course in places, creating new wetlands and lakes where neighborhoods once stood. The city is now a dense forest, with trees growing in former avenues and parks merging into wild woodlands. Wildlife flourishes. Deer, raccoons, foxes, and coyotes are common. Beavers build dams in the Bronx River, creating new habitats for fish and birds. The air is filled with birdsong, and the city's ruins provide shelter for countless species. If you were to walk through New York now, you might not even realize you were in a city, except for the occasional archway, a toppled statue, or a fragment of stone wall peeking through the trees. Centuries pass. The city that once defined ambition and innovation is now a memory, hidden beneath layers of soil and vegetation. Most buildings are gone, their stones scattered and buried. The subway tunnels, once a marvel of engineering, have collapsed and filled with earth. The only structures that remain are those built to last, the thick stone walls of cathedrals, the foundations of bridges, and the deepest basements. Even these are slowly being claimed by nature. Tree roots split stone, frost shatters what remains, and rain erodes the carvings and sculptures. The rivers, unconstrained, have carved new paths through the city, erasing streets and landmarks. In the forests that now cover New York, animals roam freely. Wolves and deer are the new rulers of the land. If a future explorer were to dig here, they might find fragments of marble, rusted metal, or shards of glass, clues that a great city once stood in this place. But to the casual observer, New York is gone, replaced by wilderness. 10,000 years is an unimaginable span of time. By now, even the most durable monuments have crumbled. The last remnants of the Empire State Building are buried beneath centuries of earth. The Statue of Liberty is nothing but a trace of copper and iron oxide in the soil. Plastic, strangely enough, may be the longest-lasting legacy of humanity. Bottles and fragments buried deep underground, waiting to be discovered by some future intelligence. The rivers have shifted their course many times, erasing the last traces of streets and buildings. New York, once the beating heart of America, is now A wild, ancient forest, indistinguishable from the countryside that surrounds it. Only the most careful archaeological study could reveal that a city ever existed here. To understand how quickly nature can reclaim a city, we don't have to look far. In Detroit, Michigan, abandoned neighborhoods have been overtaken by trees and wildlife in just a few decades. Buildings collapse under the weight of vegetation, and wild animals roam the empty streets. In Pripyat, Ukraine, forests have swallowed entire neighborhoods since the Chernobyl disaster. These places are living laboratories, showing us that nature doesn't wait centuries to take over. It begins the moment we leave. New York would be no different. The process might take longer, but the outcome is inevitable. New York is more than just a city. It's a symbol of human ambition, creativity, and resilience. But even the greatest cities are temporary in the face of nature's power. One day, everything we build will return to the earth, and the world will move on without us. But for now, New York is ours to cherish, to protect, and to remember. Which city should we explore next on this journey into the future? Let me know in the comments, and maybe your idea will inspire the next episode. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next adventure. And thank you for traveling through time with me today.